It's time to go big. It's time for Castle Build Episode 3. Hey everyone, this is Josh and you're watching Scattercraft. So I might have bit off a bit more than I could chew this week. When I built the guard tower back in Episode 1, that probably took me about 40 hours to complete. The wall build from Episode 2 probably took me about 20 to 25 hours to complete. This episode I'm finally working on the Gatehouse, which consists of 2 towers, 1 unique wall piece, and the portcullis, so this is at least going to be a 2-parter. So there's a lot of work to get done, so let's get to it. Okay, I'm going to start with the wall section here, and I want to make this 10 inches long because that's what my other wall is right now. And it was about 1.5 inches inside as well. That looks about right with the bricks. Unfortunately, I don't have the foam I used last time, but foam core will work just fine. Then I take this piece and I cut a 45-degree angle on each side of it. I want this to sit between 2 towers and I kind of want it to be angled, so you'll see what I was going for here in a minute. I had to thin out this wall piece because I didn't account for the foam core I was going to put on each side. Then I'm cutting out the wall height, and that ended up being 5 5/8 high. And I just cut the back wall the same way, but I used the little piece to gauge how wide I needed it for the back side. Just reload the glue gun here. Then I glue the back side on. And use my square to make sure it's perfectly upright. Then I glue the front side on and do the same. And the bottom here measures 1.5 inches. But the top was not quite the same, so I used a spacer here to get it right. That'll hold it exactly where I need it. I just started gauging the sides here out of some scrap pieces I had laying around. And glued those on. Those don't have to be a perfect fit because of where they're sitting. Just close enough. And I got the other side on as well. Now I'm cutting a 5 inch by 5 inch square to use as my tower bases. Looking at it, this seemed about right. I glued those on at the base, and I used a little angled piece of scrap here to give it a little extra reinforcement. And if you look on my cutting mat here, I'm using where the 45-degree angle meets to make sure it's sitting at the perfect angle. Really valuable to use the lines on your cutting mat because they can help a lot. And I put the tower side on here. This is just 5 inches by 10 inches, which seemed about the right height. My guard towers are 12 inches tall, so 10 inches seemed about perfect for the gate. I just copy that on each side. And now I'm starting to see the shape of what it's going to look like. And just continue all the way around the tower walls. And I had to cut out this L-shaped piece here. This would have actually been easier if I just built the tower first and then glued the 2 pieces together, but hindsight's 20/20. I just gauged the width I need for the top piece here and just cut that down freehand and get it pretty close. Again, we're not going for perfect here because this is all going to be covered with bricks. Just close enough. I use the same gauge method on the other side here as well. And there we go. You can see it's a little loose here. So I actually ended up adding a bunch of little brace pieces inside from scrap to give it a little bit more strength. I'm sure the bricks will help with that, but this will keep it lined up while I put the bricks on. Then I used my square to figure out exactly where I wanted my gate to be. I cut that out. I made it about 3 inches wide. It seemed about right. And then I just continued to cut all the way around until I was completely through. And for the tower, I was just going to glue the tops on, but I decided to add some more scrap pieces in here to give a little bit more strength to the top and to tie everything together really nicely. And now I'm at the point I'm ready to start putting some bricks on. I just started cutting out my bricks. My standard size I like to use is 10mm by 10mm by 15mm. Which ends up at a perfect 1 inch if you put the 10mm and the 15mm together, because 25mm is about an inch. So it gives you a lot of freedom on building and makes things line up really nicely. This is the size I like to use a lot. But I just keep cutting until I have a ton of bricks. And now we're starting to get there. Now I just started laying the bricks around, focusing on the corners to make sure they line up perfectly. And this is the part that can take a really long time, is laying out all these bricks, because there's lots of little times that they don't line up perfect and you gotta fiddle with them and make them work. But it's also kind of a fun process as well. Like I've said before, when I do a project like this, I don't like to tumble my bricks first in this case, because I want the seams to line up really nice and perfectly straight. And when you tumble them, you get kind of a waviness to them. If I'm building something like a ruined tower or something, that's fine, but when I'm building something nice like this, I like to have real straight lines. And then I can apply the foil technique later to the outside to get the same effect. Alright, and then I just continue that all the way up until I'm getting a pretty good looking tower here. And that's starting to look pretty mean. And I am out of bricks. So after making more, I continue laying out around the gate. And I'm stopping just short of the corners because I figured out that they don't line up too well with the way I did this, because I kind of was a little too freeform with this. But that's okay, because I actually have an idea to fix that later. Alright, that gate's starting to look pretty good. Okay, so I have the main structure built and the major parts blocked out, as you can see. And this thing is huge. I mean, in comparison to a mini, I mean, look how big that is. I gotta get way back here for you to see it. At this point, I can really see how this is gonna look, and I can't wait to get the final details added to really make this thing pop. So I think setting this tower at a 45-degree angle like I did really gives this thing a very menacing look and a very solid defense advantage. So I wanted this to work as a corner gate section, so having these at a 45-degree angle made that work out really well. Not to mention, this is gonna be an awesome DM screen if I need it. In hindsight on this build though, I really should have laid the bricks all the way around in a single layer at a time. That would have made everything tie in a lot better. Because I didn't do this and I had to make new bricks for this 3 different times because I kept running out, there ended up being slight differences in some of the bricks, and it ended up being about a half brick difference at the top. So now I gotta fix that afterwards, which I actually kind of have an idea to do that, and I think it's gonna make it look pretty nice, and it's actually gonna be a lot easier solution than what I would have originally done. To be honest, the inside cuts on this would have been really difficult to achieve and would have been really hard to make look nice. And those who were curious, yes, I will be adding doors to the base of these towers. The fine details is where I think this project is going to get really fun, and it's really going to make this build shine. So hang in until next week, because I think you're going to like it. And if you are enjoying these videos, please share these videos with your friends. Your shares really help this channel grow, and I greatly appreciate it. Also, please like and subscribe. We'll see you next week, and thanks so much for watching Scattercraft. Bye.